Thank you all for attending today. In particular, I offer special welcome to the candidates and burgesses that are here this morning as well. The Honorable N. Warren Pete Hess, the third, the Democrat Party candidate is here, and the incumbent. And Steve Kilmer, the Republican Party candidate, is here as well. We welcome you both. Burgesses that are here are Rocky Vitale, Dorothy Netphone. Also here is Fran Dombowski. I saw Fran earlier. We also have Senator George Cabrera here this morning, recovering from his glory days of some softball, I'm told. I'd also like to welcome our moderator for today's debate, Jack Traver, president of Traver IDC and a member of the Waterbury Chamber, and also he is the chair of the vice chair, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give you a promotion, public policy of the Waterbury Regional Chamber. I'd also like to acknowledge the corporate support that has enabled us to host this debate. Thank you to the premier sponsor, Ion Bank. This time, I'd like to welcome to the podium Dave Rotatori, president and CEO of the bank.
Thanks, Kevin. I'll keep it brief because I want to give our candidates plenty of time. I won't go into the commercial for the bank because I think I know most of you, and certainly most of you know Ion Bank. We're just proud to be a community leader and a community supporter. And thank you to Mayor Pete and to Steve for giving up their time to provide service to our town. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Please join me in welcoming Jack Traver, Pete Hess, and Steve Kilmer to their places to begin the debate. I would point out that our candidates are recording, live streaming the questions and answer portion of this morning's debate. So, Jack, Steve, Pete.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Naugatuck Chamber of Commerce's 2023 mayoral debate. I'm Jack Traver, president of Traver IDC. I have the pleasure of serving as chairman of the Waterbury Regional Chamber's Public Policy Committee. On behalf of the committee and our members, I thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'm also the moderator for today's mayoral debate. The Naugatuck Chamber represents the interests of the business community in the borough and in our region. It's important to provide a forum in which major party candidates for elected office are able to present their views on how their administration would support the efforts of the business community. The business community in Naugatuck makes a tremendous contribution to tax revenues, and our members continue to invest in the borough and create new jobs. The Chamber's Public Policy Committee has identified the critical issues for the next borough administration. These issues are important not only to the business community, but to the community at large. Our priorities are, as they have been for the last decade, concentrated in the areas of fiscal management, municipal governance, economic development, and public education. By making Naugatuck a more desirable business location, responsive to the needs of the business community, we will lay the foundation for future growth that will benefit the entire community. Our members have had input on the themes and questions today, and chamber staff has worked to articulate them. The format for this morning's debate is as follows. Each candidate will have a 2-minute opening statement in an order that was randomly determined by a drawing earlier today. Following the opening statements, I will pose questions to the candidates in a revolving order. The first candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. The other candidate will have 90 seconds to respond. And then the candidate who was asked a question first will then have 60 seconds for rebuttal. After the final question is answered, each candidate will have 2 minutes to offer a closing statement. All of the time limits will be strictly enforced, so I ask the candidates to please honor these limits. I would also like to remind everyone here that we have a lot of ground to cover today in a limited amount of time in which to do so. So please refrain from cheering, booing, or other disruptive demonstrations. Thank you. I will now introduce our candidates in alphabetical order. N. Warren Pete Hess III is a Democrat candidate for mayor. He was first elected in 2015. Mayor Hess is currently serving his 4th term as the mayor of the borough of Naugatuck. Born and educated in Naugatuck, Mayor Hess worked as an attorney for 4 decades. He has accomplished a lot during his tenure, including acquiring and redeveloping several vacant properties and buildings, bringing additional revenue and economic activity to the borough. He's led various efforts to improve the fiscal stability of the town's finances, which has led to 8 years of grand list growth, an improved bond rating, additional funding revenues, and more. These are just a few of his accomplishments. I know he has many more to share with you. Stephen Kilmer is a Republican candidate for mayor. Born and raised in Naugatuck, Steve attended Naugatuck Public Schools and graduated from Naugatuck High School with the class of 1986. Following his graduation, Steve immediately began working with the Naugatuck Public Works Street Department. Over the years, until his retirement, Steve dedicated his time to beautifying Naugatuck through his public works position. Coming from a long line of family members who have given back in various ways to the community, Steve's family instilled in him a desire to always do what is right and to give back to his community wherever possible, including involving himself in raising money for area charitable groups and organizations. Having always had a deep respect for public service, Steve has committed himself to improving the borough and the lives of its residents and the businesses that operate here. As a result of the drawing, Steve Kilmer will be first to make an opening statement, followed by Mayor Hess. In this order will be rotated to give each candidate a chance to respond first to some questions. Let's begin with the 2-minute opening statements. Mr. Kilmer, your opening statement, please.
Well,
Sure.
excuse me, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Steve Kilmer. I decided to run for mayor of Naugatuck because I care about our residents and our businesses, business community. Whether a small business or a large business, my door will always be open to you. I'm committed to lowering our mill rate and making Naugatuck more affordable. And building a tax base is the way to do it. Within the first couple weeks, I will invite business communities to meet with me and my team to discuss what works and what doesn't work for our community together, businesses and residents. So I don't think I need the 2 minutes. I just want to help. I want to try to get the taxes lower. I want to try to build the grand list, and I don't think we could do it before the mill rate is down. So, she's showing me a card. But all I can say is I'll do my best. I'm new to it, and I got a lot of passion for this town and the residents here. And I'll try as hard as I can to work for, like I said, all you residents and all the businesses in town. Whatever concerns you might have, open door policy, more than happy to sit down and talk with everybody. Thank you.
Mr. Hess, your opening statement.
Running a town, it's all about balance. On one side, we have services, road paving, plowing the streets, education, public safety. On the other side, we have taxes. No question that reducing the tax burden is the #1 issue in the campaign. We all want the services, but none of us want to pay the taxes. That's just the way it is. So my style is to run the town like a business. No politics, no partisanship, no red, no blue, only garnet and gray. Now, in business, there are two sides to the equation, the revenue side and the expense side. My plan from day one has been to increase the revenue side, increase the grand list, reduce the tax burden by bringing in more business. You know, we've gone and come a long way. We've done a lot in the last 8 years. We have quite a way to go. A lot of the hard work is done. But we have right now 5 major projects in the works that are gonna provide the new revenue to reduce the tax burden. And I'll be talking about these during the debate, but just to give you some highlights, the biggest one is the Uniroyal project, an industrial project, Industrial Park 3. I would say it's the greatest thing that has happened so far. So we're gonna work on that. We have our Rubber Avenue commercial project. We have our downtown residential projects, a lot of projects. Now, on the expense side, you know, it would be easy if I could do whatever I want, but I can't. A lot of mandates, a lot of things you can't do. So to me, it's a question of balance. I'm gonna work on the revenue side, keep the expense side right where we can, and move Naugatuck forward. Thank you.
Thank you both for your opening statement. Question 1 will begin with P. What do you see as Naugatuck's biggest challenge over the next 2 years, and how would you address it?
Okay, so the biggest challenge, without question, is going to be finishing our projects that are in the works. So what we want is to reduce the tax burden. So to do that, as I said, we have to increase the grand list. So on the Uniroyal project, I'm working every day with consultants, and I'm the project manager. We've already sold the first lot. We're getting revenue from the cell tower. We're developing 7 more development projects right on that piece. So that piece in and of itself is a full-time job. Our Rubber Avenue project, underway right now. The total remake for Rubber Avenue, we have 5 borough properties on Rubber Avenue that we're adding to the grand list, all new revenue. Our downtown projects, Parcel B, a lot of nuances. There's a lot of interplay between the state of Connecticut, Penrose, one of our selected developers, Corvus, and the borough. There's 4 engineering teams working on that one project, and I work with all of them all the time. So all of these projects, our Amazon project, when I leave here today, I'm going to a meeting in Waterbury on the Amazon project. All of these projects in and of themselves are a lot of work. So to me, the biggest challenge is something that I love to do, which is work on development projects. It's my number one passion. I'd rather do that than go on vacation. So I love it. It's not really work for me, but it's a huge volume of things to do. So I go 14 hours a day to achieve the result of reducing the tax burden by bringing in new revenue. So to me, getting it done is what it's all about.
Thank you. Steve, your 90-second response to the Naugatuck's biggest challenge over the next 2 years and how you would address it.
Well, I would say our biggest challenge, obviously, is taxes here. They are unnecessarily high. We did a reval of the house, with the homes recently, and a big part of that, I think, could have waited till about 2024, if I'm not mistaken. The town decided to move forward to do it at the time, capturing the highest peak of the market. You know, it increased the property taxes tremendously. And over the years, I think most residents would have preferred waiting and keeping that money in their pockets. I think I would immediately look for ways to lower the taxes. I would meet with department heads in my first 30 days in office and address the excess spending that we have here in the borough. I mean, there's there's a lot spending here, a lot. And I don't have the information Pete has on all these projects that are going on. If they are in contract already and it's good for the people and it's good for the town, they'll stay there, obviously. But the spending, I mean, if the grand list rose, then how did our taxes get so crazy? So,
Thank you.
time.
Thank you. And, Pete, a 60-second rebuttal.
All right, waiting on reval would have been the worst thing to do. You know, I could have done that and it would have been a much easier election, but it's the wrong thing to do. The town has been misvalued for decades, and that's probably the biggest reason our mill rate has been too high. Commerce, industry, tax too high, residential undervalued. It had to be fixed. So we fixed it. Everyone should pay their fair share. Now, it's wrong to say taxes are rising. Taxes are going down already for industrial properties and commercial properties. Some people didn't get hurt, but a large number of people did get hurt. The ones who got hurt are the ones whose properties have been undervalued. And when I say undervalued, I don't mean a little, I mean a lot. 50, 60, 70, 80%. You know, I can't apologize if someone's property values went up 80%. That's a good thing. We have a great town and people want to be here.
Thank you. Next question goes to Steve. What steps will you take to grow the grand list? 2 minutes.
Growing the grand list, I guess, is crucial for increasing the tax-based funding essential services. It can be achieved in various ways. One would be economic development incentives, offer tax incentives and abatements to attract new businesses to the municipality. This can include tax breaks for companies that create jobs, invest in infrastructure, and revitalize vacant properties. By making the area more attractive to businesses, you can expand the grand list through increased property values and commercial activity. I would do above the public's input along the way. This strategy, when implemented effectively, can contribute the growth to our borough's grand list, ensuring stable source of revenue for its essential services and community development.
Thank you. Pete, your 90-second reply to growing the grand list.
That's my passion. I've been doing it from day one. And you know what? We've solved a lot of the biggest problems in the past 8 years to make it easier to continue to grow the list. We finished the remediation on a lot of properties. We solved all the issues at Uniroyal and acquired that piece for $1, and it's already generating revenue. So on the industrial side, Industrial Park number 3 will be the biggest generator of revenue, not just for the next 10 years, but off into the future. You know, it could have been a parking lot. Now it's going to be 10 new businesses, a lot of new revenue. On the commercial side, Rubber Avenue, when we made the deal with Uniroyal, we got a concession from them that they would release restrictions on borough property on Rubber Avenue, which were supposed to be kept municipal. That's been removed. So we're going to be selling 5 properties on Rubber Avenue and adding that commercial revenue to the grand list. On the residential side, we've got a company investing $350 million in downtown Naugatuck on the residential side alone. That investment has never, ever been matched or no one's ever come close to it. It's a massive investment. So on the residential side, we're going to keep units at low space requirements to minimize the burden and get more revenue, commercial, industrial, and residential.
Thank you. And Steve, your 60-second rebuttal regarding the growing the grand list?
No, I pass.
Thank you. Okay, the next question goes to Pete. What are your top priorities for helping the borough's business community continue to grow and prosper with current and new employers?
Okay, so, first of all, Steve mentioned tax incentives. So we did implement a new tax incentive ordinance. We've used it, we're using it on the new assisted living, project on, North Main Street. So tax incentives, helping new businesses get started, is a big, big part of what we do. The biggest thing we can do is also keep cutting the mill rate. The mill rate in 2017 was 48.55. In the 6 years prior to reval, it either went down or stayed the same. 5 out of 6 years. Years 7 and 8, the mill rate is going to drop because of our phased-in reval. It's going to drop to probably 41-ish next year, and it'll go into the 30s the year after as we phase in the rest of our revenue on the side. How much time is usually?
1 minute.
Okay, so the phased-in revenue will decrease taxes, the mill rate will continue to decline, which is really what businesses want. And it doesn't just decline on their real estate, it helps them even more on their equipment and everything they do. So tax incentives, number one, reducing the mill rate, and the commercial industrial people are already seeing it. And the reason we did a 3-year phase-in instead of a 4 was so we could capture all the benefits to business in 3 years rather than 4, so that they'll realize those benefits much more quickly than in a 4-year phase-in.
Okay, Steve, your 90-second response to the borough's business community, helping the borough's business community continue to grow and prosper with current and new employers.
New employers. I didn't know where to start with this. This is crazy. Well, I don't know. I studied everything else, but kind of stuck right now.
You want to pass on your response?
Yeah.
Okay. And Pete, would you like to? 60
Sorry about
seconds to
that.
rebut?
Oh, let's do the next question.
Okay. All right, the next question goes to Steve. How you create efficiencies in the budget and reform the cost structure for savings? 2 minutes.
I guess to start with the department heads in my first 30 days to address the excess spending. I know a sample of town cars that are being used, not only by department heads, by employees. That's insurance, gas, that's a lot to do with it. It's a waste of taxpayers' dollars. I know when I become mayor, I will drive my own car. My employees will. Another avenue would be revisiting the recent creation of numerous positions. There's been positions that were handed out without going for bid or posted. There's just a lot of spending, which was behind closed doors, so to speak. Would have made more sense to increase the positions, like the one, say there was a emergency medical that was $5,000 a year. It went to $80,000, I believe, on a dime. It was never posted. Even if you created 2 of those positions at $20,000, you save about $40,000. Just the excess spending, I guess. It's out of control. And I'm not in there to see everything, and that's my problem. That's my problem with here. I haven't been in term for four terms. I am not in the town hall, but I'm going by what I see out there. And, that's all I could do. So, I'm trying to figure everything out, and once I'm in there, we'll figure it out. Other than that, that's about it.
Thank you. And Pete, your 90-second response to the question regarding creating efficiencies in the budget and reforming the cost structure for savings.
Yeah, first of all, Steve, you haven't been there to see, but if you were there, here's what you would have seen. You would have seen a supermajority of Republicans, 6 Republicans, 3 Democrats on the borough board, a majority of Republicans on the finance board, working together to craft a real budget that works. We have already found, I would say, most of the efficiencies that have been found, and 6 Republicans and a majority have agreed. I would also point out that your campaign manager was there for that entire time, and she couldn't find anything additional to cut. The only things we can find to cut are education, which I'm not going to cut. And you can't really cut education. All you can do is not give them as much as they ask for. I support education. The only other thing you can cut is road paving. And I got to tell you this as mayor. In my first 7 years, there wasn't that much complaining about the taxes. The roads were all my number one complaint. And I agree with people. The roads were horrible. So we've been working on the roads, working on the infrastructure. We're spending money on education and roads. Nothing else can be cut. And I would say that you're living in fantasy land if you think you can walk in and find cuts that a lot of experts have been unable to find.
Thank you. And Steve, your 60-second rebuttal.
Like I said, I just feel like there's a lot of excess spending and a lot of favors. And I mean, we could save money in a lot of spots. I understand what Pete's saying. It's not the exclamation point on it, but it does help. And, once I get in, I could just look at all the budgets, all the spending. I don't see that right now. I just know it's happening. So, I mean, I'm on the outside trying to figure it out, and I have to get in there to figure it out. So, I mean, with a good team behind me, I think we could do that. So, that's what I'm going to try to do.
Thank you. The next question will lead with Pete. How do you see Naugatuck's competitive standing in comparison to other communities of its size in attracting business, obtaining grants, and economic growth?
Well, we're going to start with grants. We've hired a new grant writer, and we're doing fantastic. Part of that is also myself being more connected and having, more friends in Hartford. But we've been doing extremely well. We won the Connecticut Community Challenge, $6 million for our downtown project. We received community investment funding for our road network on the Uniroyal property. We've received lots of funding, $12 million now for Rubber Avenue. That's through Naugatuck Valley COG. I also got funding from North Main Street and Spring Street through that program. So that's state money, not town money. Our brownfields projects, we've got quite a few assessment grants approved. We're finishing the Risden property with brownfields money. So we're doing very well there. Now, compared to other towns, you have to remember one thing. Naugatuck is not a small town. We're not some little Norman Rockwell village that can be compared to small towns that don't need major services for police, fire protection, public safety. So we're doing very well. People want to come to Naugatuck. You can't find a house to buy in Naugatuck. Everyone wants to be here. It's a great, great bang for the buck. And when you compare us to small cities we're doing very well, but we're getting better. Our mill rate is guaranteed to go down because of the phase-in for the next 2 years. So we're getting stronger. Other communities are not getting stronger. They're sort of holding their own. And I can't say we're better than every other small town, but I can tell you this, my goal is to be the best.
Thank you. And Steve, your 90-second response to the question, Naugatuck's competitive standing in comparison to other communities of its size in attracting business, obtaining grants, and economic growth.
Well, Pete, you got me. I just know we have a lot of potential here. I don't know all the information, guys, and I'll be honest with you. I've been trying to really get down to this and study everything, and I tell you what, it's overwhelming when you got to come up with things right off the bat. And you know, again, I don't have a lot of information. I have not been talking to the businesses. I haven't been out and seeing what their concerns are and what, you know, what drives this town. I'm just starting out, and I'm just trying to figure it out. You know, I went over a bunch of notes last night all week, to tell you the truth. And, you know, I'm trying to put 1,050 things together to make it an hour and a half. And it's kind of impossible. So to be honest with all of you, it's just, I have to get in there. I have to get information. I have to talk with people and learn every day. I think every one of us started at the same place in our careers. And, you know, that's where I'm starting. I'm starting at the beginning. So I might not have all the answers for you guys today, or Pete. I can't, you know, compete with him on that aspect. But, you know, just give me a little bit of time. Let me talk to people, and we'll go from there. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Steve. And Pete, your 60-second rebuttal.
I appreciate your candid response, Steve, and it would be very difficult for anyone to just step in. You need to know a lot, and there's a lot of moving parts. I would just say that you can't just wait for 2 years. We're in a real estate cycle. We have to take advantage of the cycle we're in. You know, in 2008, Renaissance Place, the cycle changed, and we lost Renaissance Place because the world changed. Well, right now the world is great. The money's coming in. We got our properties remediated. Everything is set to go. We have to go now, or we're going to lose the cycle. You can't come in, sit there, and figure out what you're going to do, because we're going to lose what we have. We have to finish it now, and I believe I'm the best guy to finish the job in this cycle.
Thank you. And the next question goes to Steve. Question, Naugatuck's industrial parks have provided a good start for many businesses. How do you plan to continue the business expansions through the use of industrial parks in Naugatuck?
Let me have it. That was one I did look at. The industrial parks. Yeah, again, you know. There you go. It's just being on the spot. It's a tough road here, you know. I can sit home and look in the mirror and say it all right, and then when I'm up here, I lose it. I lose my train of thought. I lose my notes. Yeah, it's a mess. Tell you the truth. You know, I like Pete said, you got to be in it, and you got to understand. And I can't do that until I'm in it. I know that businesses are very important in this town. They're our core. I was looking at the basics of just getting them here and trying to, you know, cut the taxes and beautify the town. I know Pete had a lot of good ideas with benches, lighting, some things to beautify the town to get the businesses there. I understand that your business is our core and our heartbeat. But when it comes to, be honest, to put on the spot like that, and it's very hard for me to sit up and give you the exact answer that you're looking for, or the exact paragraph you're looking for. I just got to do my best to go from here on out and see what happens.
Thank you, Steve. And Pete, your 90-second response to the question: Naugatuck's industrial parks have provided a good start for many businesses. How do you plan to continue the business expansions with use of industrial parks in Naugatuck?
Right, so Industrial Park 1 and 2 are full. As Ron Pugliese would say, it's the best industrial park in North America. I think he says Connecticut, I say North America. But the answer is Industrial Park number 3. When I started in 2015, I targeted that property to acquire and develop. There's no industrial land left in Naugatuck, so we targeted that. There were tons of complex legal issues that had to be untangled in order to acquire that. So we acquired it for $1. It's already been remediated, and we're already generating revenue from a cell tower that's there. We sold our first piece. We have taxes coming in. We're gonna have money coming in from the sale of all those properties. We have our Connecticut Investment Fund money in place. We're starting the building of the road network for the new industrial park. So finishing that project is probably the most important thing I can do as long as I'm here, to get that done, because that's our future. You know, Naugatuck, we used to have industry. It left. And now we have to remake ourselves. So we're, oddly enough, remaking ourselves with industry. You know, 8 years ago, there wasn't any industry that wanted to come here. Now there is. We're taking advantage of it and moving forward with Industrial Park 3.
Thank you. And Steve, your 60-second rebuttal regarding industrial parks.
Well, maybe I think Aaliyah's role would play a crucial part in all businesses, from a streamlined permit process concept. We can actively market and promote the benefit of locating within these parks with such incentives as affordable and manufacturing space, mentorship programs, and access shared resources. This will foster innovation and overall growth.
Thank you.
Well,
And the next question will lead, I'm sorry, were you finished?
No,
I just didn't want to
I'm
interrupt you.
no, no.
I'm sorry. Okay, next question will lead with Pete. What steps would be taken by your administration to continue the revitalization of downtown, the New Haven Road Design District, Rubber Avenue Design District, and Union City?
Okay, so first of all, we're taking our federal ARPA money, 9.2 million, and using it with some of our tax incremental financing revenue to redo downtown. When I say downtown, that's Church and Maple Street. But the TIF district and our facade program that we're just implementing, we're talking about it at the meetings now, we're about to implement it, is going to include other parts of town, including Union City, down by the Big Y, that area, and Spring Street. You know, we don't want to just improve downtown, we want to improve the whole area. Rubber Avenue is getting a total remake. We're getting you know, a brand new complete street network all the way out to Hoadley Street. We're getting our 5 new properties on the grand list. Our facade program with it will help all the other businesses. As far as new business, that's where the incentives come in. If someone comes to us with a plan and they need help, we'll help them with incentives. So right now, Church Street, Maple Street, underway. Major upgrades, including the Maple Street Bridge that people have been asking about. Rubber Avenue, underway right now. Major upgrades. The facade program on the rest of the downtown areas. Now, New Haven Road, we're contemplating an additional TIF district there, but we haven't made that decision yet. But New Haven Road is in our plans, but right now we're focusing on those other areas. That's a full-time job right now, and we'll go to New Haven Road after they're done.
Thank you. And Steve, your 90-second response to the question of what steps would be taken by your administration to continue the revitalization of downtown, the New Haven Road Design District, the Rubber Avenue Design District, and Union City.
And Frank, again, I don't have everything Pete has. I don't have the information what's happening with these repair, with these upgrades, I don't have any of it. I don't have any of it. So, to be honest, there was no plan for me. I gotta look into things. I mean, if he has it under contract, obviously it's gonna go through. If it's not under contract, I would just look at the people, talk to the residents and the business owners and make sure it works for everybody. I'm kind of stuck here without the information, and I think that's why we have a debate here to prove that. Until I get the information, I get what's going on with it, I can't give you an opinion. I'm not there, I just, whatever's going through is going through, and whatever's not going through, we got to sit and look at it. My team could look at it. We could have transparency with the business owners and the residents, and if it works for all of us, we do it. Again, I mean, the lack of information for me is a big downfall, and obviously you can see I'm struggling with it, but once I get it, there's decisions we can make, and we can go from there.
Thank you. And Pete, your 60-second rebuttal.
All right, well, first of all, I'm just gonna touch on transparency and note, Steve, that I've never seen you at a borough board meeting or any of the meetings, but all of these things are discussed in public. At every meeting, we're all there live, we're on Zoom, it's filmed on YouTube. We have public comment at the beginning, public comment at the end. We have minutes. There's no secrets. And to prove it, every vote is unanimous. So I just can't say every vote, I'm gonna say 99% of the votes are unanimous. And nothing that I ever proposed has been defeated. That's because we work in a nonpartisan manner and get things done. It's all about business. It's all about working together. It's all out in the open. We welcome participation from the outside. I would say the most disappointing thing for me is that people are too complacent. More people should get involved.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, and our next question goes to Steve. One of the largest costs a municipal government faces is payroll, but controlling that cost can be difficult because of union contracts and binding arbitration. As mayor, what can you do to control payroll growth?
Well, these costs are really nothing new. And as long as there's been unions, there's been binding arbitration. I've been in it. That being said, there are ways we can work together and achieve desired results. I would employ an attorney who specializes in contracts and binding arbitration and work with them. In addition, over the last several years, we continue to pass out raises to those who aren't even under contractual agreements. In 2020, while in the middle of a pandemic, we've seen over 100 years, we haven't seen in over 100 years, this administration to pass out non-contractual pay raises while other mayors pause all raises for that year. Unemployment was at a record high and taxes didn't need to be. As mayor, I will keep the average taxpayer in mind when it comes to any pay increases. And that goes across the board, even mine.
Thank you. And Pete, your 90-second response to the question, one of the largest costs of municipal government faces is payroll, but controlling that cost can be difficult because of union contracts and binding arbitration. As mayor, what can you do to control payroll growth?
I'm gonna start off with this. I could be the greatest mayor in the world if we didn't have union contracts and binding arbitration. You know, it's a major, major limitation on what you can do. And to a certain extent, the state system is, I'm gonna say rigged, sort of rigged, because the results are predetermined. In other words, there's average raises that people get. So when you employ an attorney, Steve, they come in and they say, hey, everyone in the whole state is getting a 2.5% raise. If you don't go in that general direction, you're going to get killed in binding arbitration. Binding arbitration is horrible for municipalities. Now, it's good for the unions, and we work well with the unions. Everything is cooperative. We did have one union that resisted a little, and we went to binding arbitration. And after we finished, now we have a very good relationship. But all the other unions work cooperatively with us. And you know what? If I could change one thing, I would love to pay people based on merit and pay people more money that really do the jobs well and earn it and bring in better people. And if I could do that, we could grow even faster. Binding arbitration, state mandates, federal mandates make it very difficult to be mayor.
Thank you. And Steve, a 60-second rebuttal regarding payroll and union contracts and binding arbitration.
Pretty much agree with the last that the mayor did say. You know, unions are tough. Bob, you know, when you were mayor, you know, dealing with us, and like Pete says, you rather pay the people and get rid of them, just pay the people that deserve it more. And yeah, it's a tough game, but they're there, and we got to deal with it and work with them. So that's what we do. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next question goes to Pete. How do you see the mayor's role in growing the workforce and creating a well-educated workforce?
Okay, so one thing we're doing that I think will make a huge difference is in our transaction with Corvus, our preferred developer for downtown. They're funded, their $350 million is funded by the AFL-CIO pension plan. They're going to use all union labor for all of their projects. They're including apprenticeships and internships that will be available for our high school students. We're going to also work on changing the curriculum there, our adult ed students, and other citizens in Naugatuck. So as we build these projects, not only are we going to generate more revenue and create more jobs, we're going to create jobs for people who can learn the trades. We're bringing back the trades. We want to bring back shop and courses like that in high school. We want to train people on skills like measuring and basic math so that they can enter the workforce getting paid while they're learning in our downtown projects. And of all the things that we have going on, I think that's probably the best way for someone who hasn't found their path yet to find a really good career, make a really good salary, and start when they're young. So I'm looking forward to, I see Julie Rosenblatt out there, Kim Gallo, some of my education team. We're working together with the Board of Ed, Chris Montini, to put together a plan to get this in the works right now. Change our curriculum and really, really get this going and have it take off and get really, really good jobs for our kids who can't go to college or the military, which is a great thing.
Thank you. And Steve, your response to the question, how do you see the mayor's role in growing the workforce and creating a well-educated workforce?
I think you would have to start early with the K through 12 initiatives. I mean, I would actively promote and support of workforce development programs, expand adult education, and support our teachers. It's important that we keep the student-teacher ratio low for them to learn better. And it has proven that that's how they learn the best, really. Which is why I was going to bring up the apartments and all that stuff with more kids, more schools, bigger ratios. Like Pete said, bring back the trades. That's very important to people. You know, that's where the jobs are going to be, and that's what you need to focus on. Trade schools. Go back to old times. So go back to old school, working with your hands but I would start the kids young and get them into apprenticeships, on the jobs, construction jobs, pay them for part-time just to learn it. And hopefully it grows.
Thank you. And Pete, your 60-second rebuttal to the mayor's role in growing the workforce and creating a well-educated workforce.
So, I'm going to stick with pretty much what I said. I think that trade program is the best way that we can really make a big difference for a lot of people all at once. And I would just say, Steve, that, you know, you talk about student ratios, and I read your website and your priorities. All those things cost money. And that's why I say being mayor is a question of balance, because you can't do all those things without increasing taxes. So everything I do is balanced. In other words, we try and get things done, but at the same time, keep taxes down. And it's hard. I mean, everyone wants more services and no one wants to pay. Being mayor is a very difficult job. So it's a question of balance, but the best bang for the buck is this program with the unions for bringing back skills, basic skills.
Thank you. And now we will now hear closing statements from the candidates. First up will be Steve, followed by Pete.
Excuse me once again. You're good, you're good. Okay. First of all, I gotta say, a lot tougher than I thought. I thought I was prepared. I thought I studied enough. And I guess until you're up here, you have no clue. I think my passion and my care for the town is there. I think my commitment to the town is there. I'm a doer. Obviously, you can see that I'm not much of a speaker. But if I can get in there and do what I gotta do, I'm a different person when I'm doing it. So for some of you guys, business owners, residents, if I didn't have the right answers, I apologize. It's a little nerve-wracking. You know, you think you have everything together. You don't. You know what I mean? So just to be honest with you all, I do apologize if you didn't get the answers you were looking for. Thank you, Chamber, and everyone here for this opportunity. The mayor's obviously has shared a lot here, and I assure you that the projects that will benefit Naugatuck and the residents will continue. The ideas are projects that benefit only the developers and not our community will be paused and revisited. Property owners shouldn't fear the loss of their property in this town. I will always find an alternative for that. You know, again, I was focusing on the mill rate, I was focusing on the spending, and I was hoping that, you know, we can go in there and look at all the information that Pete has going on right now. And believe me, I agree with a lot of them. I agree with some of them. And I just don't know the information to look at. And I would like to get in there and look at everything, have a team around me and do what we gotta do. But again, apologize if you didn't get the time or the answers that you were looking for, but, you know, give me some time. I'm a new guy here. This is all beginning to me, so. As time goes on, I get better at speaking, but my doing will prove its point. Thank you.
And Pete, your 2-minute closing statement.
You go. I guess, Steve, the one thing I can tell you is you don't really have any time to figure out what to do and then come up with a plan and try and do something. I've had a plan from day one. In fact, I remember being in this room at the debate in 2015 where I announced my plan. And if you go back and watch that debate, and if you look at my platform back then, you're gonna see that I've been doing what I said I was gonna do. And I plan to be here until I finish the job that I said I'm going to do. I do the best I can every day, and it's hard, but I like it. I think the part I like the best is economic development. I really enjoy that. I look forward to every day. I think I like Mondays better than Saturdays now. I can't wait to get back in there and start firing away. Steve, I've known you a long time. I've always liked you. I still like you. You know, we had a lot of pleasant moments, beers together, that kind of stuff. It's a lot different than running a town. So, I plan on winning. I would like you to be involved. I really do like you. But you gotta have a plan. And I'm just gonna say in closing, I have a plan and I want to be given the opportunity to finish it. Thank you. I do like it.
Thank you very much to the candidates this morning. That concludes our debate. Thank you so much for participating and for being here. I now turn the program over to Naugatuck Chamber President and CEO Lynn Ward.
Thank you, Jack, and good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for participating today, Steve and Pete, Mayor Pete. We really appreciate your leadership, and we wish you well in the campaign. We encourage all of you to consider the positions that were discussed today. Economic development, public policy, very important to the chamber, very important to the business community. That is why we are here to serve you, and that is why we traditionally host mayor's debates. I want to remind you that the chamber has many programs, many benefits for your businesses. We have Wake Up Your Business, the fourth Friday of every month in Naugatuck at Ion Bank. Thank you to Ion for hosting us in your community room, and thank you to Ion for sponsoring this debate this morning. We also have a STEM Expo, and I heard about the importance of the future workforce and training in manufacturing and other trades. On November 17th at Naugatuck Valley Community College, we will be inviting Naugatuck schools to bring students to the college, meet with manufacturers, see the advanced training session there, and we look forward to talking to the principals to arrange that. We will also have the annual Dibble Awards. It's the major event for the Naugatuck Chamber that will be at the end of January. So a lot is coming up through the next season and through the holiday season. So please, keep an eye on naugatuckchamber.com. We send a newsletter out every month. We encourage you to submit your news to us. We want to share with the business community everything that's going on within your businesses. Thank you to the staff, our board, our chairman, Kevin McSherry, for being here this morning, and Jack Traver, thank you for moderating. Have a great day, everyone.